clinical management, again, reducing cost while engaging our employees, our members, and our prescribers in all of these new programs and services. So you can imagine the landscape of what we were dealing with, having two enterprise-level pharmacy systems and trying to combine those two. So how are you supposed to enhance your clinical services when you've got your pharmacy system to align? You also have to onboard 1,000 new acquired employees and get everyone on the same process so you can execute effectively on these clinical programs. Also launching, again, added enhanced clinical services. So the kinds of clinical services we offer are very tailored to the disease state, if you will, like multiple sclerosis oncology. So in order to create a platform to do that, we have a lot of rich data with UHG. You can imagine how much data we have access to. We used Salesforce in specialty pharmacy to create a data hub. We wanted to have that connected member experience. And what I mean by connected is seeing all the points that the member is being touched, synchronizing all those points, and giving our clinicians visibility of that. Also collaborating with our providers. How great would that be to notify providers when we have key information about their patient on therapy? Because once they see their patient for their checkup, they prescribe a therapy, they usually don't hear from the patient again. How can they find out what's going on? How do they know if the patient's being adherent to therapy? So that's what Salesforce has helped us do. This is one really cool thing I'm proud of that our team created. So again, it's not doing more with less, but it's doing more with the same while decreasing the cost. So we implemented last year, again, just before the merger, or the acquisition, excuse me, we implemented a first bill consult for all members. So any member that was starting a new therapy, not necessarily a new member or patient to our pharmacy, but they were starting a new therapy, we committed to giving a first bill consult, which pretty much like maxed our resources, what we had currently. So we had committed to doing these ongoing assessments to keep monitoring the patient and have oversight through the therapy, communicate that to our providers, and intervene if we needed to, have interventions, have our clinicians intervene if necessary. So we automated our follow-up assessments. We still do the first bill consult. For some programs, we still do a second bill consult. But how do we continue to monitor that patient's either adherence or their pain when they're on their therapy? And so we created some algorithms and coding logic in our system that takes the scores from the first and second assessment, compares those two, gives an outcome, and then determines the next steps. So if they're doing good and the score is within a threshold, a tolerable threshold, there's a predefined time when their next assessment is automatically sent to them. It might be 30 days, 90 days, whatever the time frame is for that disease state. But the neat thing, the even more exciting thing, is if their progress on their therapy starts to decline, we alert the clinicians, we alert the providers, and we don't do it, Salesforce does that for us. We're able to automate that process. The other thing that is really interesting when you're dealing with specialty patients, they're really sick. They see a lot of doctors, see a lot of clinicians. It's painful to manage their therapy. So we enable the patient to not have to schedule yet another consult with us. They can do it at the convenience, on their convenience, from their mobile device, from their computer, and it reminds them periodically when it's time to do an assessment. I keep hitting the back button, sorry. So I think the coolest thing is how we were able to scale so quickly. So again, we launched our clinical programs into Salesforce. We had this exponential growth, and I think we've had even two more acquisitions since we launched Salesforce. And one point I didn't make is that we just launched our clinical management program just barely over a year ago. So we're just now getting enough data to see the results and all the outcomes and the benefit of the outcomes. But early information suggests that leadership is loving it. They're loving the program, they're loving Salesforce. Our project queue is going around the corner. We're hiring more Salesforce staff. We're working with partners like Z-Paper over here. We're working with our partners to continue to grow our system and our application and provide even more functionality to our business. One of the really neat things that Salesforce has helped us do is manage the prescription life cycle within our pharmacy. So that even that is synchronized and connected, from our customer service to our pharmacy care coordinators to our interdisciplinary team, which are pharmacists and nurses. We can sort of track that workflow. We can create work queues. So it just helps us be more efficient, helps our processes be better. And that's difficult to do when you're filling 1 billion scripts a year. So what's next for Briova? A lot. And I'm super excited about it because we get to be a part of implementing that change. We've got 20 new clinical programs coming in 2017. Crohn's, bleeding disorders, things like that, really sensitive, very high-touch members. So we're implementing those programs. We're launching a clinical service model beyond BriovaRx. So we have this great program, and others would like to take advantage of that. Maybe they don't fill in our pharmacy, that's okay. We can provide those services to support patients out in the marketplace. We are loving communities. We're just now understanding communities. We've implemented an employee community, so we increased our user base from 200 to 1,600 users in just a couple of months, and we did that in the communities. We are also able to bridge across our acquired pharmacies who are still on separate enterprise systems. We were able to bridge processes using knowledge. So if anyone is not using knowledge, you need to use knowledge. It is an awesome tool. Love it. We're also prototyping a customer payer community. So all the good work that we're doing, that we're servicing the patient, the clinical services that we're providing, the spend, understanding what are members spending and having visibility of that, we're prototyping that right now with the help of our Salesforce account team. So we're going to have dashboards and using communities to connect our payers with us. We're also introducing infusion and nursing coordination services. And if anybody, again, is familiar with a specialty, if you are not doing this kind of service, you're really not one of the top pharmacies. You're not one of the top specialty pharmacies. Most of the drugs that we dispense are infused, either at a doctor's office or in home, or they're injectables. So oftentimes we need to coordinate with nurses to infuse that in the patient's home. I think the most exciting release this past year from Salesforce was the offline mobile capability. We didn't know how we were going to solve that problem. We wanted to use Salesforce. We wanted to integrate our nursing services. They actually had a platform that we're trying to integrate in Salesforce. But the problem that we had was, how are we going to enable the nurses in the field to document interactions with our patients offline? It wasn't possible until I think the last couple of releases. Now it's possible. I was like super excited. I hardly could say it. I told my boss, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have offline capability now. Problem solved. So that's coming next. So really excited again to be here at Dreamforce. I thank everyone for your time. Definitely are available for questions afterwards. So I'll turn it back over to Kim. Thank you.